John Brennan speaking with us earlier this hour. Pretty stunning interview. Joining us now, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator, first of all, just respond to that interview. A former CIA director who's worked for presidents on both sides of the aisle is deeply concerned about where this president is taking us, deeply concerned about this country's future. Your thoughts? I'm also deeply concerned, and I think many of my colleagues, both Republicans and Democrats, see clearly that there is no good answer. There's no good reason why time and time again, when our president is in a position to confront Vladimir Putin, either on the assassination in the United Kingdom, interference in our elections, the ways he's undermining our allies across the world, he knuckles under. He lets Putin win. He ignores his own national security team's advice to call President Putin and congratulate him on his election and make no mention of the pressing national security concerns of this country. There is no good explanation for that. Also, the White House not able to articulate that this was not a free and fair election. Right. And so there is really a concern about Russia, that the president must be in some ways sort of passing on to the people who work for him, and some who are perhaps, one might argue, too weak, will protect the president and his concern about Russia rather than what's right. They're following his lead, and sadly, he's not leading. He's not leading our country in a way that defends our values. We are a significantly more powerful country than Russia, and we need to lead with our values if we're going to be respected around the world as the great country we've been. He's not making America great again. He's taking us back to the isolationism of 70 years ago. You could hear it from John Brennan, and we hear it from many others. There is a concern that he will fire Mueller. There is a concern that this new lawyer on his team will push him in that direction as well, and say what he wants to hear. If he does that, will your Republican colleagues step up, and what can you do? Well, there were some strong statements from a number of Republican senators, Jeff Flake in particular. John McCain put out a very strong statement. The leaders, both Speaker Ryan and Majority Leader McConnell, have said Robert Mueller should be allowed to complete his investigation unhindered. But I think we need to do more. Anyone who thinks that the special counsel Robert Mueller isn't in imminent danger of being fired isn't paying attention. Just look at your phones. Right. The tweets coming out from President Trump this morning make it clear that he is sort of rattling the cage and threatening to fire him. We should take up and pass the special counsel bill that Senator Tillis and I introduced months ago that's had a hearing in front of the Judiciary Committee. I think we should be moving forward on a protection bill for the special counsel. So, Senator, in terms of your conversations, we've seen them a little bit nudging some of your Republican colleagues. Could you see them moving to a position in any scenario where they were prepared to say, okay, we actually need to do action now to protect the special counsel, because once he's been fired, it's too late? I mean, you guys must be talking about this behind the scenes. Right. It's been frustratingly difficult. Virtually every Republican colleague with whom I've spoken says, yes, it would be horrible for Robert Mueller to be fired. It would undermine rule of law. It's a red line the president shouldn't cross. And I say, so co-sponsor this bill, make a public statement, let's do something on the floor. And they say, yeah, that's not going to happen. I've gotten reassurances from the White House it's not going to happen. My mom used to say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I wouldn't believe it for a second. Frankly, this is a train that's rolling right at us, and the easiest way to stop it is through action now. Know that they can't always take the president at his word of today, because it could change tomorrow. I mean, how many examples do we have in the last month of him blustering, threatening in one way, and then reversing course immediately? You can't know exactly where he's going to go, but he drew a red line. He communicated to Robert Mueller through the press months ago, if you start investigating my finances, that's a red line, and that's what he's doing. Basically said it. Josh. Senator Coons, they're actually, this week, Democrats have probably one of the last points of leverage that they're going to have over the course of this year legislatively, because we know that Democratic votes will be required to pass the budget bill and keep the government open before the end of the week. Why not use that leverage? What do your Democratic colleagues say to the case that why shouldn't Democrats use that leverage and insist that this kind of protection, this kind of prevention, as you described it, be inserted into the bill in order to get the Democratic votes that it needs to pass? We've explored every option to find a way to move forward with the special counsel bill. At this point, I think moving forward in the Senate with it legislatively, not through the omnibus, is the only path open. Senator Chris Coons, always good to see you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hope your back feels better. Thanks. Up next, in hidden camera footage, executives from Cambridge Analytica boasted about their role in